Don't blink, it's your blink. Welcome to the Commentary Show. Sitting off to having a wonderful day on this 14th to April 2025. Look at the weather. Isn't this freaking beautiful? Pretty sure it is. Right. Today we're doing something akin to some behind the scene, but it's actually something that I think is actually quite important. I think it's a bit too important to be behind the scene. So you guys have noticed that lately we've been doing longer videos but less. So I think that what I'm trying to do is, and again, it's something that came out of the video yesterday in multitasking. I started doing this. Okay, so it's a long story. Hi, how are you? I'm a bit tired. Forgive me. So it's a video that we've been. It's natural evolution, I think. So when we started making content, right? We were making streaming content, and then we started making food content, right? And when I look at the food reviews, I love the food reviews. However, I'm at like 700 episodes of food reviews, right? And that's a lot. So I've been starting to do 2 meals, right? 3 snacks in the same time. Why? Just because I think it's easier. I think it's easier. I think it's more fun for you guys. And ultimately speaking, I want what you want, right? Which is to have fun. And I started doing 2. So groups of 2. So for example, today is a perfect example. Today we have fitting in society, right? And the need to be social. So collabs, right? Because a lot of people have been asking me to collab lately. I want to crouch on that. I want to turn back on it, right? And it's odd because those 2 were completely different thoughts, but I can put the 2 of them together. Now, why am I doing this? Because if instead of having 20 videos a day, I can have 10, say the same amount of stuff, right? And I think I'm actually cautious of the time. So for example, right now we're tired, right? So I'm not gonna do an hour video. So I'm gonna have to do 2 subjects, and it's also like, okay, well, kind of more planning, right? It's easy to go. It's easy to, and actually, like, I've been doing this for a couple of weeks now. I don't know if you guys noticed, but it's been so much better. Because when you have a specific subject, you're like, okay, well, dive in like a sailor, I had to nail her. You can actually dive in and do a deep dive. And when you have 2 subjects, you have to be mindful of the second subject. So I got this first subject, I'm going somewhere, versus I have 2 subjects. The first subject has to go in the same direction. They can be parallel, but then they cannot go opposite, because I'm not going to contradict myself in the same video. So I just think it's actually I just think it's better. I just think it's more fun to do, because you have to be mindful about the second. So you have to be mindful about a general consensus or a general concept, which is, again, with the example of today isn't fitting in society, and that the collab is being social and interacting with people, right? And so you realize that this is it. This is the general thought. So instead of having 2 different videos that have 2 different thoughts, you have 1 videos with 2 different thoughts going in the same direction. Doesn't matter where they meet. They can meet here, they can meet later, they can meet at the end. Doesn't matter, as long as it makes sense, right? And I think we're gonna be doing something that's more concise, because I think we're always trying to evolve, right? And ultimately speaking, I think it's complicated. So of course, when I started doing content, it was about doing content, right? Then I was like, okay, quality, quantity. But then right now, what the way we're seeing is, because we're doing a weight loss, right? So today I'm gonna weight myself. I don't know how much I weigh yet, but I'm gonna weight myself. Now the first week we lost 15 pounds. The second week we lost 14 pounds. So this week, if I do anything less than 10, it's not gonna be good enough, right? But then again, I shouldn't have expectation, because when you have expectation, that's when you get disappointed, right? But there's a clear evolution. Now, there's gonna be a level. It may not be now. The roof is leaking, by the way. It may not be now. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be a week, a month, maybe a year, maybe. It's gonna be a point where we're stopping this evolution, right? And stopping this evolution is going to come very quickly, because right now we're doing well. People are supporting the content. People are loving the content. I'm getting more meaningful interaction. I'm getting a lot more meaningful. It's complicated. Yeah, it's more meaningful. Puppies, don't fight. Don't fight, puppies. So that's basically it. With the working out, it's gonna be the same thing. with the working out is going to be sooner than later, where we're going to have this loss of evolution, right? Where no matter how hard we work, we want to get the same results, because there's a learning curve, and that curve is possibly very steep in the beginning, but slowly becomes normal, right? And with the content, I think that this amount of support that we're getting is helpful, appreciated, detrimental ultimately, because you constantly hope to evolve, right? So, for example, take a person, right? I'm gonna take the gamer because I really like this. I really, 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 really like this example. Take a gamer, right? And this guy has been doing some gaming content for 10 years. And guess what? He has a gamer burnout. He doesn't want to do gamer videos anymore, right? So what he started doing? He started doing other content. I love the bell. We have a freaking church near my house. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? Yeah. It's a Monday, 12 o'clock. So wedding, maybe, I don't know. Congrats to the newlywed. Congrats to the newlywed. We're hoping it's not the funeral, because we just celebrated the bell of the funeral, which is really, really horrible. So long story short, with the workouts, I do believe that we're gonna be reaching a point. No, sorry. See, I'm tired a little bit. With the content, I do feel like the support it's gonna be pushing me to be in a comfortable zone. People like this, people like this, people like this, right? And the person has been gaming for 10 years has been put in this position of, we like this, we like this, we like this. Now, this person, myself, this other person, can get very confident, right? And say, okay, well, my content is good enough. I don't need to improve anymore. Or, my content is good enough. I don't need to be trying some different stuff, right? And then, he gets tired of doing the same thing every single day, because it didn't work on improving the content or improving their general concept of content. So when you're a content creator, right, what is content? Well, for a lot of people, everything is content. Everything is content, right? But then when you get older, you realize that not everything is content. People don't really care about X, Y, Z, right? And that's part of life, right? And that's normal. That's okay. Don't get mad at this. It's part of life, right? But at the same time, you have this realization of, okay, well, not everything is interesting or entertaining. What is? See, it's 12 o'clock, and look at how much time we have. A lot. So you have to realize, okay, well, this didn't work. Maybe this will work, right? But you're still trying some different stuff. And I think that's it. So I have the extreme luck of being surrounded with people that like me, right? But then again, this luck is very pricey, because this luck is being very pricey in a sense of, well, they like me. Do they like the content, right? Now, liking me is awesome. Liking the content is even better, because the content is a limb of myself, right? So you see those two limbs, a arm, fingers, legs, toes. Some of you guys are perv. But at the same time, they're dependent on me, right? I get to give the orders. I get to decide what they're doing. This movement comes from here, doesn't come from here, right? So the content is the same thing. Your perception of content is an extra limb, right? If every single day your job is to take those two arms and push something, then your understanding of how these work, how these end or arm can be useful is pushing something. You're not gonna pull, because you're so used to pushing, you're not gonna pull, right? So as long as you keep an open-minded, right? But then keeping an open mind means two things: risk. And how many risks can you take before people start saying, "Do you know what you're doing?" Right? And I think that's scary. During the whole thing, there's three times, guys, where we were at risk of being in a niche content. So the first time was for anime, and that's my fault. I was talking about anime a lot, right? And people were like, "Oh, this is anime, guys." And I do like anime, but not to a point where there's gonna be a whole channel of it, right? Then the second time, it was about food, doing the food review, etc. Right now it's about working out, right? So that's three, and I don't want people to see that, because I'm not gonna be doing that. You're enslaving yourself to the same train of thought. You're enslaving yourself to push every single day, because your understanding of content, right? Your understanding of content is ruled by two things: monetary values, which is, in a sense, okay, well, I'm doing this, people are liking it, people are watching the video, people are watching the ads, because they're watching the ads, I'm making money. Sounds good? Sounds great, right? Or you have this other case where it's a fear of not being comfortable. Well, if I change the content I'm doing, are people going to like it, right? And then again, there's this very big fear, this very real fear that, well, maybe they'll see one video they don't like. Maybe they'll see two videos that they don't like, right? Then they'll see three videos that they don't like, and then they'll give up. They'll be like, "Fuck this guy! Why am I watching this guy?" We're seeing this with Nikocado Avocado, and this is possibly the best example. I'm a firm believer of don't create your history, don't create your own history, live through others, right? I don't need to live as a warrior to understand what Achilles did. As long as I understand what Achilles did, we're good. Right? That's the important part. That is the bread and butter of this conversation, right? So with Nikocado tried, and this is actually a really sad story. With Nikocado, right? So this is also what I'm doing right now is also manipulation, and we'll get into why I'm trying to manipulate you guys after. So with Nikocado Avocado, he started really being really honest, right? And he was really honest, and he wanted to show the vegan world and everything like that. And then he got really sick, and he was like, okay, well, fuck vegans. I'm not gonna be a vegan anymore. So I started eating meat. And then a lot of people that was watching him were hate watching him, which was vegan, and say, hey, you're eating meat, you're a bad person. So then with the original boost of the 8 Watcher, he got a big career. Out of the big career, people liked him, right? And then he got into drama, and people would only watch him for drama. So what did Nick do? Nick started to create drama around himself, or creates this silly situation, these comedies, or this circus, right? A la Jerry Springer. And that's what he was getting videos for. So then, what ended up happening was at 30, he wanted to retire. He wanted to stop mukbang, right? But then I think that he fell in love with making content, and now he misses it, right? Now, what is really sad to see is that Nick is gonna take out some videos, right? And those videos are not nearly as popular. So it used to get 200,000 views a video. Now it's back to a 50, right? And he changed his life for better. So we're talking about a guy like Jonah Hill. Same thing. Jonah Hill, funny fat guy, right? Super bad, getting to the Greek, funny fat guy. Make this guy skinny. Is he as funny? That's a little bit of a problem we have, right? So Jonah Hill had a really hard time finding a job after he lost the weight, right? Which is stupid because he's improving his own life. But nonetheless, those two guys had bettered their career and we're back to they're set back. Nick has to put your comments below, put your question below, so he gets more comments, and because he gets more comments, he gets more visibility. And because he gets more visibility, he has a better algorithm. Because he has a better algorithm, he has better views. Because he has better views, he has more money. So what we're doing here. Now, why am I manipulating you guys, and how am I doing this? Super simple. By saying, right, that we're pursuing 2 IDs a day. You might not agree with one video. So the concept of this video was like, sometimes I'll mix IDs together. That way we get less video, that way you get more content, and that way you're seeing one video instead of multiple, right? And the reality is, that's true, but there's also another way, which is manipulative. So for example, if there's an ID that you're not really okay with, but the other ID you're okay with, I look like a good guy, right? I can have 1,000 opinion, right? As long as you like 501 of them, you're mainly agreeing with me. If you agree with 499, then we mostly disagree, right? But what if a video had 2 subjects, right? And one of them you agree, one of them you didn't agree. Still a win-win, right? That's what we're trying to do, and we're trying to be more concise. We're trying to be more thoughtful and more planful, you know? I was talking about the energy drinks last week and how it affected my thought process and shit like that, right? And ultimately it does, but what it also did was I didn't have clear path. Like, for example, when I started this video, you think I had notes? I didn't have notes. I probably should have notes, but I didn't have notes, right? So if I was to extrapolate even more, I'd be like, yo, if this video had notes, it would be completely different, right? And this has changed also, right? So we're chasing 2 things, which are phenomenal. The first thing that we're chasing is this magic of brainstorming, this magic of We're talking and talking and talking and figure shit out together, right? We're also taking the feeling of this is plan and I have to follow this list of words. We're chasing that feeling away, right? So we're chasing the feeling of being spontaneous, versus we're chasing away the feeling of, well, this is planned and this is not genuine. Now, am I saying that you can have something planned, it's not, and it has to be disingenuous? No. I think you can have a planned video be completely genuine. But it's harder to do. It's harder to do, right? It's harder to do. Anyway, see you guys for the next video. Love ya. Take it easy. Peace. I'm gonna get the wire to charge this. And I'm gonna give you guys the nature. Ooh, you're low on battery. Don't worry, I got you. I got you. I got you, don't worry. There you go, look at this. Super cool. Anyway.